I think China was ready. I knew that from my time in China. I just left in mid-January. They were preparing for an eventual showdown with President Trump. And so, you know, you saw them deploy rare earths. They took that away from the United States for 30 days. It caused a lot of problems for our economy. But at the same time, President Trump reciprocated by saying, well, then no ethane and no critical parts for your semiconductor industry. So I think we almost have a truce right now. We've got to move, the two sides have to move from truce to deal.
Is the talk of decoupling behind us? I mean, you just described how the trading relationship is important to both the U.S. and China. Is that, have the two sides realized, actually, we can't live without each other?
I think that would be a great mistake. The trick in our relationship with China, Jim, and you know it as well as anybody, is we've got to compete with them and stand up to them on human rights, on technology, on what the PLA is trying to do in the South and East China Sea and the Taiwan Strait. But at the same time, our economic interest, with about 1 million jobs dependent on American jobs, on trade with China, is to continue a big trading relationship. What President Biden did was to say, let's continue a big trading relationship, but we're going to deny China dual-use technology exports from the U.S. like advanced semiconductors for AI purposes, because we don't want the PLA to have our most advanced technology to outcompete us militarily. That makes great sense to me. And that's why I'm wondering about the decision that President Trump made to allow NVIDIA to sell the H20 chips to China. That was just announced in the last couple of days.
Some serious leverage away.
Exactly right. And I don't know the details, so I don't want to be unfair here, but it worries me. Our leverage over China is, we're going to deny you dual-use technology that your intelligence and military community can use to compete with us. And so I very much supported what President Biden did, which was very hard-nosed. We'll trade, but not in these very important technologies.
The thing the Trump administration has done is it has repeated the same tactics it's used against China with America's closest allies and trading partners, assigning enormous tariffs, threatening economic pain or collapse. I mean, you've heard this kind of language, even regarding a country as close to the U.S. as Canada. What, in your view, has the U.S. lost from that approach?
I said that President Trump was right to be tough-minded with China. I think he's made a mistake in placing these very, very high tariff levels on Japan, on South Korea, on the European Union. I'll just name those as three, because they're all major trading partners of the United States, but they're also something else. They're military treaty allies. And when I was ambassador, I think our strongest suit in deterring the Chinese and competing with them is that I could go in knowing that my EU counterpart, my Japanese counterpart, my South Korean counterpart, my Australian counterpart were pushing on the same basis. We were together. And if you think about weight, and diplomats need leverage and weight at the table, Japan, US, and the EU is 60% of global GDP. The Chinese were really worried that, that President Biden had united the Democratic allies against China. And I thought it was a big mistake for President Trump to treat Japan the way he was treating China. And so that's, I think, the major tactical era of the last couple of months.
偷偷告诉大家，我最近发现了新法宝 Royal Face 逆时奇迹系列，它有活肤露、全效精华，还有精华霜。尤其我皮肤比较偏干，所以我非常的注重保湿。保湿做得好，肌肤自然通润。提亮肤色更年轻，抚平皱纹超有感，而且气色变好。用心保养，每天都更美丽。美吧。